Hey guys, let's do a photo critique on ships. Let's see what we can learn about ships today. How to photograph different parts of the ships, how to isolate subjects within a ship, and how to turn some of your photos about ships into artwork. Let's check it out.
Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, click, click.
Hey guys, welcome back. Vern Danke, Click and Picket. So thank you for coming back to my channel. Today we're going to do a new video on critiquing ships, photos that I've taken of ships. I'll show you the things that turned out good, the things that didn't turn out good, and tips and tricks to help you with your ship work. So let's get started. Let's get going right away. All right, so let's get started. So most of the photos that most people are going to take with ships are going to be basically from maybe a boulevard area or a dock type setting. Some people will travel on a ship, and that's even more unique. Now, this ship photo I'd taken with my zoom lens from Dumageddon, and it's called the Gas Monarch. And the first three photos are some of my early ship photos. Yeah, they're not great, but it's better than not taking the shot, okay? So even though you're starting and learning, just take the shot. Whatever it is, you're gonna grow, you're gonna get better, and you're gonna look back at your old photos and go, oh, I should have did this like this. I should have put this into the rule of thirds to make a better composition, but I didn't, and I could edit it that way, and I could get rid of some of the grain, but for now, it's just a photo that I'm glad I at least took it, okay? All right. So just take the shot. You will grow and get better. Now, this is another shot where I took of a sunset, and it's kind of a pleasing shot. It would have been more interesting had I put the ship on the rule of thirds and put it on a grid, but it's still a nice shot. It's still, it's kind of in the thirds if you look at it with a third of the water, a third of the sunset, and then a third of the clouds. So it works that way in the thirds. But I could have edited it so the ship is on the grid also instead of being in the center. Then it would have worked out a lot better composition. So there's things that you can do if you take a faraway shot to make the composition stronger. And that's why I'm kind of hard on myself on these. I'm like, oh yeah, I could have done this, but I still could do it now. All right, and so let's go to the next one. Now, many people will go on trips and they'll take the typical tour boat type shot, and that's okay. Take it with people. It's kind of interesting. It kind of shows a high-end boat that many people may never experience or see or be on, so it's good to take a shot of that also. Show people what's available. And this is pretty modern looking. I think it's for a high-end resort in the Philippines. I'm not sure what island it's from. Maybe Siquijor is the name of the island. All right. So the next one, and I took this shot because if you do go on a ship, what you're going to find is when you're on the ship, it's harder to take full-length photos of other ships because they're so close. And so what I recommend is trying to find a scene. Maybe focus in on this section with the people, and I'll show you a photo that I'd taken. Isolating a scene to make it a stronger composition. All right, so let's see, where is it? Here it is. Okay, so this is a perfect example. I haven't edited this shot yet, so it's still out of focus in this version. So the version you'll get will be better. But if you look at this, you've got a couple contrasts with the color. You know it's a ship. You see the docking line here. And you see a couple people. One person's looking at me, and the other person is just kind of glaring up at the other ship that I'm on. And it just gives it a lot better composition. And the people aren't in the center of the frame. They're a little off to the side. When I edit it, I'll probably make them even a little farther toward the grid. But it's an interesting shot, and it gives it more strength. So try to focus for these little mini scenes. Try to look for them and focus on those for your shots. It'll make for a lot stronger composition. All right, so what I've done now is I've taken some of those shots and I've turned them into artwork, and this was one of my first early artworks. and I made a print out of this, and it's, I think, the first full-size print that I made, and I'm kind of proud of this. I love how there's this little tiny boat, and it's making all this smoke as it's speeding away back to shore. Probably a local fisherman. It could be somebody coming off of the Royal 89 here. You never know. And it just seemed like a really pleasant shot with the colors, the water and the sky. The different colors of sky are balanced to the thirds, and everything's kind of gridded on the rule of thirds really well, so it works out really well. This was one of my first really good shots. And after this shot, I thought, yeah, maybe I can be a photographer. Maybe we'll see how that works. All right, so you can take your shots and turn them into prints if you can come up with interesting compositions. So I really like this shot. I like the clouds. I like how the clouds are reflecting off the water with the two ships. So two clouds with two ships, it just makes for a very interesting photo. And I turned this one also into a print. And I'll show you the next print that I want to showcase. So this shot I really love. It's an early morning sunrise off of Dumaguete, and you've got the sun reflecting off the water, a couple ships, a couple small little boats, and then you've got this bird coming through, and then some wispy clouds up top. It just makes for a really pleasing print. And I'm so glad I made this. I just really am glad I did. So try to explore your creative zone. Don't settle for just a photo every time. Try to make it something more than a photo. And I think when you get to that level, it's even more satisfying because it's something you want to look at over and over again. And some photos are like that too. Alright, so sometimes I'll go on a ferry, which is a very large transport ship for transporting people, goods, cars, motorcycles. And this is kind of a neat shot because this shot was taken aboard the bus as we boarded the ferry. And you can see the guy that's waving us in, hey, go back more, stop, hold on, that's far enough. And then you see the welcome aboard. And you can see the deck is down and they're still loading the ship. So this is kind of a unique experience. You can ride a bus, get on a boat while you're on the bus, cross the island, and continue on your bus journey. And so that's kind of a fun experience. And they have that often in the Philippines from island to island. And so here's another shot, and this is from the back looking to the front of the boat, or the front looking to the back of the boat. And you can see some of the big cargo that's on there. And full-size trucks, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 wide. And you can imagine how much weight is on that. And this was a really fun shot. I like this shot. It's got the guy up in the captain house checking things out as the big trucks are loaded in. All right. So let's do the next one. Now the next one, it's one of my early shots, and it's before I really understood low light photography. And the sun was going down, and I was on a different ferry. But I like it because it shows what a small ferry loaded heading toward the islands looks like toward night. Knowing what I know now, I could probably come back and clean this up and edit it. But it's good to just at least have this shot. If I'd never taken this shot, I might never remember this perspective of looking down on this really narrow cargo ship with these huge tanker trucks and a big bus and all these other big semis loaded with it. It's quite a haul to go across, and it's quite a fun experience to do if you hadn't done before. Alright, so one thing that is super important, and you can't film the whole ship length to length when you're on it, so focus on small segments, small scenes. Find out the things, the elements that make a ship, and focus on those for your pictures. Now, there's going to be decking rope. Find the rope. Try to make an isolated shot just showing that. Okay. Find a way to shoot the mast. This is probably the heart and soul of a ship. So try to shoot the mast. And try to shoot it without a lot of distractions. That's really hard. So try to find out which side of the mast that you need to shoot it with the less distractions. and sometimes get really low, and it'll make it look even longer. And if the sky is a pleasing tone, then that's even more of a bonus. This sky looked really good in this masked shot. A lot of times the sky will be gray and you won't have that. All right, so one other important feature is the ship's horn. And I was able to isolate this with my zoom lens. So having a zoom lens on a ship for photography is key. You really need that to focus in on the elements. That's probably the biggest asset, but you're gonna most times not have as good a shots inside where it's low light if you're using your zoom. And then this is kind of fun. Find different elements and ways to shoot people through things, because it'll give it depth, it'll give it character, and it'll make you think and linger looking at that shot longer than taking a shot through there with no people. So try to incorporate people and it'll give the shot a sense of depth. This night shot came aboard a different ferry, and the beauty of this is if you can figure out a way to backlight the people with shadows, to take away the backlight from the people and have more light in the front, you can get some really strong composition type photos. And this photo is really strong. You know it's on a ship, you can see the searchlight, you can see the horn, and to me that's really strong, and the sunrise looks really beautiful. This is a great shot. This is one of my better shots. Alright, and then let's go to the next one. And this shot, I just love this shot because this is the reflection off of the searchlight glass, with the searchlight being off. And it just worked out really well. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I saw there was a nice sunrise coming, and I thought, how would the reflection work off of this? If you can get a reflection off of a porthole or some other thing, that'd be cool too. But if the searchlight is accessible, try to find some reflection shots off of the searchlight. It can be of people, it could be of anything, but just try to find a reflection. And it's probably not going to happen in the peak sun, okay? Alright, and then I've got one more really cool low light shot. And I love this shot because you have to include the people elements when you're doing photography. Now, this is a person that's on the deck. It was really early in the morning. I think it was 4 a.m. and he's doing his stretch. And I'm like, oh, there's a shot, right? And he just happened to have a little ponytail, and it just made for something interesting and different and in the shadow. So it was just like, wow, that's cool. I was lucky to have that shot. And you don't really get to choose how to frame it when it happens so fast. It just, you got to react. Just get the shot, get the shot. Now, most ships will have a second deck. And I didn't realize till today that this is for the emergency escape hatch. So this is on the first level going down to the lowest deck possible. And it was really dark in there, so I don't even know where it went. But if you read it here, it says emergency escape hatch. And I was kind of surprised it was open, but I suppose it would have to be if there was an emergency. So it was kind of interesting. Alright, now every ship also has stairways. So try to find a way to make the stairway shots interesting. Now this is what we call a juxtaposition shot. Now it's pretty funny because you have these motorcycle riders that are sitting down here and they're holding their helmets in their hand, and it says watch your head, and you can't even see their heads, and I thought it was kind of neat. So try to find a way to incorporate the stairwells with people on them if you can. Alright, every ship has stairs. Alright, so here's a shot of the wheelhouse. This is the most important room on the whole ship. So find out if you can get a photo close to this and take the shot. This is a pretty important part of every ship. See the captain in there. Alright, so the last few things, try to find interesting scenes with people in them. Now this ship has kind of a moody sky. It's early morning. There's the ship just belching out the diesel smoke out the back. You see the boat on the crane, and this guy's just looking into the distance, wondering how far it is to get home. and you can just see he's patiently waiting. And the scene just worked out really well. Very interesting. It's just full of many interesting things. Now, always leave enough room if they're looking at something. Don't crop it close to him. I could have cropped it right on the edge of him, but you wouldn't have understood the context of the shot that he's looking into the ocean if I had. So always leave room in front of somebody if they're looking at something to give it a little bit more of a concept. All right. I mean, you don't have to, but it's seems to be better if you try to do it that way. All right. And here's another guy. He's sitting on the balcony, just looking out into the ocean, into the distance. There's not a lot to do on a ship, and so people tend to wander around, and the scene is constantly changing. So try to find people doing things that are of interest and take that shot. All right. Now this one's kind of one of my favorite ones because these people are coming up the stairs onto the next level deck, and it shows them coming through this stairwell, and you can see the shadow of the two girls in this photo, and it just makes for a really unique shot. And the little girl's not even looking out onto the deck, she's looking straight down at something in total amazement, and it just made for kind of a striking photo. All right, so we're almost done. So another photo that I thought was kind of ironic, kind of interesting. This guy's waiting on this deck. I don't know who he's waiting for, but I don't think he's waiting for this lady because she's not giving him a facial expression like she knows him. And on her shirt it says, "Future Trophy Wife." All right, so I think we have, let's see, I think we have, yeah, one more. So when you're on a ship, try to show perspective with your shots. This is a really long walkway, and if you can be fast enough to photograph a person at the end of the walkway, it will show depth, it will show length, and it will show how big something is in relationship to the eye, and it will make it for an interesting shot. All right, so those are my ship shots. Try to say that fast. So all those tips, thoughts, and tricks that you are learning, it's just like climbing a ladder. You start out at the bottom, you go one rung at a time, and every time you learn a little bit more, you start to go like a rocket ship, shooting up into the sky. So keep learning, keep growing, keep an open mind, because a closed mind is not an asset. An open mind will help you climb as high as you possibly can. All right, so hopefully these videos have helped you, and if they have, please throw me a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and thank you to those that have, and thank you again, and let's grow together.
Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click,